May 9th, 1978. Cinisi, Sicily, a date etched into the island's memory. A night when silence tried to reclaim its throne, but some voices refused to be silenced. They echo through time, carried on the airwaves of rebellion. This is the story of Peppino Impastato, not a mafioso, not a politician, but a poet, an activist, a son of Sicily who dared to use laughter as his weapon. Born into a mafia family, he saw the darkness from the inside and chose a different path. He chose light. He chose the truth. In the small town of Cinisi, a new sound began to crackle through the radios. It was Radio Aut, Peppino's pirate station. It wasn't just music. It was a revolution broadcast at 98.8 megahertz, with razor-sharp satire and unflinching courage. Peppino and his friends dismantled the myth of the men of honor. They gave them nicknames, exposed their illicit dealings, and held them up to public ridicule in a segment called Underpats of the Crazy Wave. Imagine, in the heart of Mafia territory, hearing the powerful boss, Tano Badalamenti, mocked as Tano Seduto, or Sidin Tano, who sat just 100 steps from Peppino's own home. This wasn't just journalism. It was a daily act of defiance. Every broadcast was a stone thrown at the giant, a challenge to the code of silence omerta that held an entire community in its grip. But laughter in the ears of the powerful sounds like a threat, and a voice that speaks truth in a world built on lies cannot be tolerated. The shadows began to watch. The warnings grew louder, moving from whispers to open intimidation. Peppino was seen as a traitor to his own blood, a dangerous element disrupting a fragile, violent order. He walked the streets of his hometown, the same streets where he played as a child, now feeling the weight of unseen eyes. His words challenged the silence of the Mafia, and the Mafia always answers. The freedom of the airwaves was met with the cold grip of fear. He knew the risks. He knew the price of his courage. But for Peppino, a life lived in silence was no life at all. He continued to speak, his voice growing stronger even as the darkness closed in. On that night in May, the laughter stopped. Along a desolate stretch of railway track outside Cinisi, Peppino's voice was brutally extinguished. He was kidnapped, beaten, and placed on the rails with a charge of dynamite. The explosion was meant to do more than just kill him. It was meant to erase him, to frame him as a terrorist who blew himself up. A final, cynical act of dishonor. Initially, the narrative worked. The authorities and the press quickly labeled it a suicide or a bungled terrorist attack. Case closed. The system, so often complicit or cowed, tried to bury the truth along with Peppino's body. For years, it seemed as though the Mafia had won, that the silence had returned, deeper and more suffocating than before. His family and friends, however, refused to let his memory be They fought relentlessly, demanding justice, keeping his story alive. It took over 2 decades, but the truth finally clawed its way into the light. Through the persistence of his mother, Felisa, and his brother, Giovanni, the cover-up was exposed. The state was forced to admit the horrifying reality. Peppino Impastato was murdered by the Mafia. Tano Badalamenti, the very man he mocked on the radio, was convicted for ordering his death. Justice, though agonizingly slow, had finally arrived. Today, the house 100 steps from the Mafia boss's home is a center for remembrance. The farm confiscated from the boss is a cooperative run by young people. Peppino Defied inspired a new generation of anti-mafia activists who understood that the battle is fought not only with laws and arrests, but with culture, with art, and with memory. His voice was never truly silenced. It became a chorus, as he once famously declared, a phrase that has become a rallying cry for all who fight oppression. A laugh will bury you all. Thank you for watching. If Peppino's story moved you, please share it so his voice continues to be heard. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of courage.